It was like, no. Are you kidding?
I said the same thing.
And we're back.
Turn off the cameras.
Hello. We're back.
Recording?
Okay.
No.
Okay. Are we recording?
Yep, we're good. Everything good. Good.
Okay. So I guess now it's all on.
Yes. So
Okay.
my movie was Spider-Man, No
Okay.
Way Home, directed by John Watts, and we're gonna watch the trailer.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
You got that down.
You're the only one.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I said I can't
No,
screw
we
it up.
wanted everybody to get the Peter Parker Spider-Man. Be careful what you wish
I
for.
gotta figure out how to get the speakers in this thing.
We started getting some
But that little
visitors from
distributing
every
thing just threw me off.
universe.
The multiverse is real?
Looks like we got competition. You're not Peter Parker.
I am so confused right now.
Parker. We need to send them back.
You're thinking, hey, I'm about to do something that could break the universe. Run it by us next time.
Deal. Let's catch some multiverse men.
Peter, you're struggling.
Look, there has to be another way.
They're a danger to our universe. Have everything you want. While the world tries to make you choose. Is that a dinosaur?
I'll fix this, but I'm gonna need some help.
You're flying out into the darkness to fight ghosts. They all die fighting Spider-Man. It's their fate. This is why I never had kids.
You're not gonna take this away from me.
Do you know Peter Parker, who's Spider-Man?
Yes.
Is that him?
No.
This is all my fault. I can't save everyone.
I'm sorry, kid.
Whoa, okay, that's cool. But
Oh, that is a 3. There you go. Yeah.
But the first couple of trailers they wouldn't show you. That was supposed to be the big surprise. Oh, we're back. So that was the big.
Okay.
Okay.
That
Sorry,
was a
we're
big
still
surprise.
watching the
That
trailer.
was a big surprise, but
Okay, so the reason I think I picked this movie because I heard that this had to do with the new Doctor Strange movie coming out, which I guess is actually released now.
Yeah.
And I really liked the Doctor Strange movie, so I said, okay.
Me too.
Because as I telling Patty earlier,
Yeah.
I watched the first I watched Spider-Man 1 and 2, Tobey Maguire,
Yeah.
almost, what, 20 years, over 20 years ago when it first came out.
Wow.
And then I stopped watching them all together because
Why?
they're just all the same. I mean, they're just this
Different
and
villains.
that. So it's like, okay. So I just sort of lost interest until I have to admit, watching the Avengers movies because that's when I saw Tom Holland playing it. And I thought, okay, he's fine. Again, I like the fact that Peter Parker still remains this teenage kid.
right.
What I thought was funny, though, because I noticed, is that he does not shoot his web. He invented, so he's a genius thing,
But
right?
2 of them do.
So the funny thing is, so here we are, we're watching this movie, and I guess in the last movie where he was fighting a character, I don't even know whose name it was,
What do you
played
look
by Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh yeah, Mysterio.
Oh, right.
Okay,
Yeah,
that he
Mysterio.
reveals, I guess.
That he reveals that he's
Right.
Spider-Man.
Yeah,
He's
he
that he's,
reveals the identity of Spider-Man as Peter Parker. So as we begin this movie, everyone knows he's Spider-Man, and he feels so uncomfortable. He decides to go to the only wizard I guess he knows, Doctor Strange, and ask him, can he erase everyone's mind? And Doctor Strange, yes, we can do that. But then while he thinks about it, Peter Parker keeps changing his mind. Like he doesn't want,
Yeah.
I guess MJ, the girl, his girlfriend, doesn't want, he wants his best friend,
to not forget him. Yeah,
yeah,
He's
not to
going
forget him,
the
right?
people-
Ned. So he keeps changing it while Doctor Strange is doing the spell. And then basically the spell goes awry. Doctor Strange can contain it, but then he noticed things are slipping through. And the first time you notice this is when you realize, I think it was it Dr. Octopus, or
Yeah,
was it?
Dr. Octopus.
He's the
Octopus.
first one who shows up,
Right,
correct?
right.
Yeah.
That he's looking for Peter Parker. Now, he has just left right before, I guess, quote unquote, he dies in
Right.
that movie,
That's
which
right.
was the second Spider-Man movie. And he sees Spider-Man, and he just grabs Spider-Man and says, okay, where's his invention? That's what I can't even remember what his invention was.
He's looking for Tobey Maguire.
Well, that's
Right,
well,
right,
he
yeah.
wants Peter Parker, right?
Right.
But he doesn't know, and that's why you saw in this trailer. He goes, "Wait, you're not him."
He's got like this little thing that gives him like super nanotechnology, like and he uses it on his
Right.
machine. And he goes, I can harness the power of the sun with this.
Well,
and
see-
that's what he's looking for.
Well, no, that's what he had invented, I think, right? Something that
Right.
was in the ocean, and that's what gets destroyed, and that's what kills Doctor Octopus in the
Right.
second movie, or Doc Ock. So the thing is, okay, so I'm sort of slightly confused at this point. So it's like, okay, here he comes through, and then you see the other villains. Apparently, as Doctor Strange has to explain to Peter Parker, he's now opened the quote unquote multiverse. So all these villains from different ones. So that's why you're seeing a plethora of villains. So you're seeing villains from all the Spider-Man movies, if I'm not
Right.
mistaken.
You're
I'm
right.
not sure, but
You're right.
but you're seeing, for example, here are the villains that I had to pull out. So it was Willem Dafoe playing the Green Goblin, Alfred
Right.
Molina, Doc Ock, Jamie Foxx playing Electro,
Right.
Reese Ifans playing the Lizard, Tom Hayden Church playing Sandman,
Right.
and then oddly enough, and spoiler alert if you don't want to know, because this is a difficult movie to explain the plot to,
Yeah.
is the fact that
It is until you watch it.
so he has to round up all these villains on his own, and he figures out what to do. The thing, like you guys said, is the nanotechnology that somebody gets a hold of it and is going to increase the power. His Aunt May is still trying to help him as well. She sort of knows now that he's Peter Parker, and he's this. They go to Happy Logan's place, and that's where Tony Stark had this invention of, like you said, having the power to harness the sun.
Right.
So, but they also thought, but what if we can do stuff to actually cure these? Because he knows that if they go back, they're just going to die, basically.
Right.
But at one point, he does know this only because he needs help. Dr. Strange says, no, we just have to, he says, no, let them die. That is their fate. You know,
Right.
you can't change that. But Aunt May sort of convinces Spider-Man, no, everyone has a chance and can change. So at one point, the other Spider-Man show up, and you have to realize that Peter Parker, they're all sort of geniuses in themselves. They have
Right.
in science.
And
Now,
they're
in
all
saying
older.
this,
Yeah.
well, that's the weird part. I don't know if they are supposed to be older or not. I
They
mean,
are older.
Tobey Maguire, I thought was funny because he's the first, like I said, Spider-Man, and then, like I said, this is 21 years up.
But he looks it. Don't you think?
Well, see, that's the thing. I couldn't tell. Now, they make a joke about him having to crack his back. And he's saying, is that because he's aged? Because he doesn't look like a
I'll tell you something about that later on, about his back thing.
Okay.
Right
Oh,
here.
yeah. And that's what I brought up, too. But I will say this. I thought it was great to see both Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield,
Right.
and Thomas Holland together as the three Spider-Mans, because I thought, again, this is what brought the humor into it.
Right.
I will say this. I am now going to try and watch the Alan Garfield, because
Oh, it's
he
good.
was so goofy in these things. Because one thing that I thought was hilarious, I mean, very hilarious, is when they're talking about Spider-Man's web. And that's why I brought it up in the first place, because Tobey Maguire, it's organic. It's part of him.
Right.
Whereas the other two, so their amazement of like, ooh, does that just come out of you?
Yeah,
You know?
right.
Does it come out anywhere
Yeah,
else?
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
things like that.
Yeah.
I just thought, this is hilarious. So I had to admit, for this movie, I thought it was very entertaining. But it could be because of all the villains and all the talent behind those villains.
Right.
You know. And I guess the director, this John Watts, he has directed all three of the Tom Holland Spider-Man
Right.
movies. So I actually might go back and watch them as well, because I had to
Do
admit
it, Lon. Do it.
that Zendaya playing MJ and that Jacob Batalon playing Ned Leeds' friends.
Right.
I thought they were actually very fun.
Have you
I
seen any
really
of
liked them.
the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies?
No, that's what I'm saying. No.
It's great because the kid what's his name? Jacob? What's his name?
Yeah, Jacob Batalon playing Ned. Yeah.
He's like his behind the scenes, sitting behind the computer, in my ear kind of thing. Like you see those kind of goes, great. I'll be your ears like a spy. He's like a computer nerd.
Right.
So when he goes on missions, he's the one behind the computer. Okay, this is gonna happen here. He's like,
he's like his sort of handler for those agent
like,
movies, telling him what to do.
He's Alfred.
He'd be like Melissa McCarthy in Spy initially, when she was telling him what that's his character kind of in the movie.
Oh, okay.
But they're high school kids.
No, exactly. But see, I just know that he gets revealed because of the trailer. I remember seeing that he realized who he is.
Yes.
But I think was that everyone I wanted to mention? Oh, well, Benedict Cumberbatch, of course, is fine playing Doctor Strange. And
He's great.
Benedict Wong comes in. And in fact, that's one thing I
love him.
They did reveal in this movie, again, spoilers, Wong is now the Sorcerer Supreme because Benedict Cumberbatch was gone for 5 years after the Avengers thing. And that's how I like they tie all this Marvel universe together. So, which is why I said, see this movie because this is going to lead up to Doctor Strange apparently.
You've got to see Doctor Strange, the new one.
But I have to admit, I just thought this was a fun movie. For example, this to me is a movie for kids, even as sort of intense it gets. At least I would say I would take a 8-year-old, 10-year-old to see this movie as opposed to the Batman. So,
Right.
Yeah, two different kinds of movies.
Absolutely.
It's over to you, George.
Oh, me?
That would be you.
Okay. So, yeah, I like the movie. Unfortunately, I couldn't see it twice because it's so expensive. But now it comes out for rental. But when the movie first was announced that there was a multiverse, they didn't want people to know that the other Spider-Man were going to be in it. But people just found out. Like, you keep seeing pictures, and that was the big story. Everybody was just so, oh my god, they're gonna bring him all. And then eventually we found out that we're gonna bring the 3 Spider-Mans, and then we're gonna bring the villains from their movies. So their villains, we're gonna mix together. So the movie does make tons of references to each movie. Like my back hurts. There's a scene in Tobey Maguire in the Spider, the 3rd one, where he's like, oh, my back hurts, and there's certain when he meets the Goblin and he's in the cage, he goes, I too am kind of a scientist. It makes a phrase, and that's also a reference from when he did that to Tobey Maguire. The Andrew Garfield, there's a lot of references to his movie with certain things that they say. There's that one scene, I don't know if I spoiled it, but when Zendaya falls. At this point, everybody has seen it. There's there's a scene where Zendaya is falling, and and what's his face cannot grab her, he misses her, and then Andrew Garfield dives in. People going nuts because in the 3rd Spider-Man, the 2nd Spider-Man from the Garfield movies, only the 2, that scene happens, but he doesn't rescue her. She dies.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, spoiler alert!
You mentioned it.
So there's a lot of tons of references. In fact, there's a video on YouTube with every single reference to other movies we're playing back to back.
Right.
And there's and it's funny. Spider-Man movies are very science themed. Everything's science. They're trying to get into MIT, I think. The villains are very scientific.
Right.
And it's always because those movies like the Lizard, he wants to recreate, go back a limb. He's missing an arm, so he does that. Octavius, all those movies are really science, but it's really a true superhero for nerds or geeks,
right?
Because he's a science-based superhero. So and even he gets his powers because he was bitten by a radioactive spider in a lab. Unfortunately, that won't happen to me because I'm afraid of spiders.
Out of curiosity, does that happen in the Andrew Garfield and the Tom Holland? Is he bitten by a radioactive spider?
Garfield is the Tom Holland. They kind of skip through that and they kind of just automatically go through. I think they skip through that part, but it's implied already.
Oh, okay.
So, and the thing about like you said about the web thing, when they first did the first Spider-Man movie and he shoots web right out of his own skin, people were upset because the original Spider-Man cannot shoot web out of his own skin. He creates those webbings.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So one of the critiques the movie had is that, well, how come you made him shoot web out of his own skin?
Right.
And as opposed to making it, which that's something they fixed in the next Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, that you have to create it. But they totally fixed about creating this multiverse. So when in a certain universe, Spider-Man can shoot the web out of his own skin. So
I didn't know that until I saw this movie.
And they do show a certain thing, like you're talking about, Tobey Maguire, this thing 20 years later. But there's a scene when he meets Octavius, out of Octavius, and then he goes, "How you doing, my boy?" I think he says, "You have aged," or something like that. He goes, "You have aged," because it's 20 years later. So they have and it has a scene where they'll meet their villain, like Andrew Garfield with the Electro. That's
Electro
Jamie
guy.
Foxx. So everybody kind of
Jamie
meets their own
Foxx.
thing, like Jamie Foxx. Yeah. So yeah, so they make it complex, but if you follow comics, they really put it together. Like they brought all these different worlds. Now, of course, in the comics, there's no multi-dimensional world. The superheroes are in there. They become the Sinister Six. All they're mixing is the Vulture guy, which is Michael Keaton.
Oh, okay.
He's part of the Sinister Six, Vulture too, and Mysterio and all those guys. So, but yeah, I enjoy the movie. Now, once it gets out on whatever in Netflix or whatever, I'll be watching it more.
Yeah.
Catch it again.
I'll be watching it again.
Okay.
Sit downer time.
Because I'm not a Marvel connoisseur, although I've watched so many because of this podcast, right? This is
and there'll be more, Sue. There'll be more.
This particular Spider-Man, again, like Batman, it didn't kind of stand on its own. You kind of had to know, you had to do a prepper class before you watched it, because unless you're familiar with Spider-Man, I'm not familiar with all these people.
Not only you have to be familiar with Spider-Man in the comics, but you have to be familiar with the 3 separate Spider-Man movies.
Yeah,
oh my God. Yeah. So you need a prepper class for the different characters and the Spider-Man Marvel world, right? Marvel, right? So this movie makes sense for the Spider-Man fan, but I'm afraid I was lost. It was like I walked into advanced physics class
What do you see
with
that goes
elementary math. That's how I was. It was very long, I can tell you that. I found myself saying, when's it going to end?
I hate that. To me, it was like no time passed.
So, if you're a Spider-Man fan, you're going to love it. But if you walk into this Spider-Man world for the first time, it won't make any sense to you, and you need to do your homework.
Yes.
So that's all I'm saying.
Unlike Susie, I have done my homework, only because I don't even call it homework. I loved Spider-Man, and I really wasn't into him, but I love DC and Marvel. So I loved all the Tobey Maguire ones. I loved all the Andrew Garfield ones. But I got to admit, Tom Holland plays who I would consider Spider-Man more perfectly. He's perfect. He looks young enough. He's got the of teenager.
Goofy.
Yeah, and the humor.
He's goofier than the other two, younger.
Yeah,
I would say he's younger.
He's got a younger thing, even though he's 25. And when I saw this, how they seamlessly put all the other Spider-Man into it, I thought was kind of brilliant. And all the demons with them, I thought it was brilliant, actually. They did it so well. So that, how long was it? 2 hours and 44 minutes?
18 minutes. I was wrong. It's 2 hours and 18 minutes.
Okay,
God,
2 hours.
But it was very clever.
It felt like the 3-hour movie.
super
I
clever.
had no idea.
But you can find the template. It was very clever.
Yeah.
You have the 3 Spider-Mans, 1, 2, 3, and then they brought 2 villains for each.
Right.
From their movie, so that they really kept it. There was a certain template.
And you could follow it. Whereas with Batman, I couldn't do that. I found it very hard to follow.
No,
And I've watched every Batman, right? But with Spider-Man, I really found it easy to follow because I've watched all the other ones. And but how they brought him in, each one, was great. I mean, you could hear people screaming in the theater when each one came on.
Oh, you saw it at the movie theaters?
No, I watched. I
I should show this video. It's
George was
unbelievable.
screaming.
That was just
George
me.
streams.
Yeah,
And that's how we
reaction
went. Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
And
I
you know
actually
what?
liked that.
And each one was great in their own way. So there's no one great Spider-Man. They're all
They all bring their
equally
own
good in their own
personalities.
way.
Unique.
Yeah.
In fact, you know that because they did 3 movies for Tobey Maguire and they done 3 movies for Tom Holland.
Right.
And apparently Andrew Garfield's so popular
He's
now that
important.
they're gonna make. Apparently, I've heard they're gonna make his third movie, his third Spider-Man
Oh,
movie
wow.
in the
Okay.
multiverse. So
Right.
he's gonna get his third. We only did 2 for him. He's gonna get his third movie.
How fun.
And that they brought Doctor Strange in.
Yeah.
It's like with Doctor Strange, they brought in Wanda. You know,
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I love that because to me, the original Avengers are the best Avengers. You can't really replace them, and I don't think they'll do well.
The one thing I'm really waiting for, and I was hoping this one, but that is Venom popping up in there.
If they change Venom from Tom Hardy, I'll be so upset.
In the post credits, you see some of that. Because
Right.
you say in the post credits for Venom, and you say in the
Exactly.
post credits for this, where they're trying to introduce him for, and I don't even know which multiverse he's going to come in. I think he's popped up in the.
Well, that actually that's another scene I actually did really like in this movie because I'm like you, Susie. I was sort of confused. Like, I don't really know what they do with this and that. But there's a scene where they really almost become sort of bonded.
Yeah.
Because they basically are Spider-Man. They know.
Right.
So there's a great scene where they're all talking and having heart-to-heart. Then
right.
one of my favorites is like, oh, what's the worst villain you've ever, had to
Right,
battle and
right.
everything? And one says, well, I had to battle this
right.
alien from a goo,
Alien from
goof
outer
or
space,
something,
yeah.
something like that. And
One goes, I went to outer space. And he goes, you went to outer space?
Yeah, exactly.
And that was Avengers.
And then Andrew Garfield's character says,
was very
wow, I'm
heartfelt.
so lame.
Yeah.
Because I haven't
It
battled
was
anything.
very heartfelt, which is what I love about superhero
That actually
movies.
surprised me because I did like that aspect because you thought, yes, here's somebody like your brother that you can have a common. Exactly.
And they do certain things like when Tom Holland says, that his aunt May said, with great power, and then
great
Tobey Maguire
responsibility.
finishes him,
Right.
Because that was seen with Tobey Maguire. That's the scene.
Right.
And also, it's funny how Aunt May just kept getting younger and younger from the first Spider-Man. It went from grandma to Melissa Tomei.
Exactly. The gray-haired or white-haired
They just
woman.
kept-
Right? Yeah. And that's another scene because that's when they sort of reveal their stories of, like you said, the tragedies, like you said. Of what
But with
happened.
Tom Holland, I love the relationship he has with the other guy. The guy,
his
what's
friend
name?
Ned.
His friend.
Yeah.
His
No,
friend.
yeah, that's a
It's
great.
really
If you watch the
sweet.
Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland,
Yeah.
they're really funny because
Okay.
Ned is really funny. He's just the comedy.
He's
Well,
a
that's what I'm
sweetie.
saying. That's why I'm sort of curious because I said, wow, they actually really worked. I mean, really well. I mean, they did intrigue me. In fact, I don't even know if this is a spoiler, but I cracked up because, like, okay, they get hold of Doctor Strange's ring or something,
Right.
and somehow Ned, he's the one who can actually he used it because was it his aunt or his mother kept saying, or grandmother, you're magical. He keeps
right,
somehow magical, and
Yeah,
he sort of proves it.
He's funny.
And even I don't know if it was Wong or Doctor Strange looked at us like, oh, really? You did that kind of thing? So I have to admit, all that stuff is really building up. It makes it in the Marvel Universe more intriguing to me. But,
Exactly. Instead of Marvel Universe, it makes it more interesting because he has those moments.
Yeah,
as opposed to the DC movies, it's like, I'm depressed now and I'm depressed tomorrow. There's lightness to it.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, so are we good?
Yep.
Okay.
That's good. Okay, so I'll give it an 8.
oh, wow.
I'll give it a 5.
I'd give it a 9.
Wow. I gave this a 6.
You and your sexes.
It was his movie. Okay,
To be continued in Doctor Strange.
so
Yes,
that
exactly.
that does
You know that's next, right?
so that completes our 52nd episode of What the Flex podcast. And so I'm just going to say to you next time. Till next time. Adios.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.